Good afternoon. My name is Ede Illas. I'm the Senior Director for the Social, Urban, Rural, and Resilience Global Practice in the World Bank, where we focus on providing development for sustainable cities and communities around the world. And an important dimension of sustainability is to make these communities and cities productive. I am very sorry I'm not with you today in person due to a family emergency right before I was about to get on the plane, but I did not want to miss the opportunity to talk to you about a really important topic: sustainable tourism. As the UNWTO Tourism Highlights report presents, tourism has experienced continued growth and has become one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the world. The business volume of tourism equals or even surpasses that of oil exports, food products, or automobiles. It represents 10% of the world GDP, 1 in 10 jobs, and it is growing at a rate that is outperforming employment in the global economy for the 6th consecutive year. It is also 7% of global exports. So tourism has become one of the most important areas in international commerce. And it also represents one of the main income sources for many developing countries and for many families in these countries. As a labor-intensive industry, tourism also represents an important source of employment, foreign exchange, tax revenues, and also creates the environment for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises to blossom. It can also help build skills and engagement for many marginalized groups that do not have access to the economy, like women, youth, and the poor. As a real instrument for socioeconomic development with great potential, tourism also makes an important contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly in terms of poverty reduction, funding inequality, and promoting inclusive growth. The World Bank Group helps developing countries achieve two important goals. One is to eliminate extreme poverty, and second is to promote shared prosperity, a prosperity that reduces inequality. And one important instrument that we have is the support to cultural heritage and sustainable tourism projects. Given the crucial role that tourism plays in the contribution to the SDGs as the key driver for socioeconomic progress in many countries, the World Bank is focused on developing and providing support to the tourism sector in a sustainable and an inclusive manner to stimulate job creation and local development. World Bank projects have shown that tourism not only generates income for those that are directly employed in these activities, but it creates more jobs and incomes in activities related to things like maintenance and management, and it also helps to create the infrastructure needed to provide access and amenities that then generate economic growth in many other dimensions. Tourism projects have also shown that the spillover effects materializes in the creation of micro, small, and medium enterprises in a wide range of areas, such as hospitality, fruit production, handcrafts, performing arts, transportation, and promotion. For example, let me give you just one example. The World Bank Guizhou Cultural Heritage Project in China generated impressive employment opportunities. So the project sites saw an increase in employment in the tourism and hospitality sector from around 3,000 people in 2010 to more than 13,000 people in 2016. Now, the project also trained more than 3,000 people in special skills such as traditional dancing, singing, and handcrafts, as well as skills such as tour guides, tourist services, and hospitality. What is really important for us in the World Bank is that in the project areas, poverty rates dropped from 44% to 28%. And the project allowed many households in 21 ethnic minority areas to escape poverty. Currently, the World Bank has 146 active projects or in preparation, focusing on the sustainable and inclusive tourism sector. It's about $2.5 billion in lending and technical assistance. And the World Bank supports urban and rural tourism, cultural and natural heritage conservation, urban regeneration of heritage towns and villages, tourism infrastructure and services, policy advice, and legal and regulatory reforms. Within the private sector, IFC, our private sector arm, has 55 projects and investments of more than $2 billion in more than 88 different countries, bringing very significant impact on economic growth and creation. And also, IFC has invested more than $500 million in tourism-related transport infrastructure, such as airlines, airports, and port facilities. The World Bank acknowledges that sustainable tourism is about managing externalities. Tourism could cause negative externalities. We know that if activities are not managed well. Over-tourism can create burdens for the residents and local communities, and it affects the quality of life due to overcrowding, traffic congestion, and gentrification. Also, the social and cultural identities could be threatened as a result of commercialization and intrusion of tourists, while uncontrolled tourism can also pose potential threats to the landscape with litter, soil erosion, increased pollution, disturbance to the natural habitat, and vandalism. Now, in order to understand the opportunities and constraints of the tourism industry, the World Bank has developed many tools to manage the externalities in different dimensions. In line with the UNWTO approach to sustainable tourism, the World Bank also takes full account of the destination's current and future economic and social and environmental impacts, addresses the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and very importantly, the host communities. To translate these values into action, the World Bank uses a strategic environmental, social, and cultural heritage assessment as a planning tool to assess the cumulative, direct, and indirect impact of increased tourism influx, and subsequently develops a mitigation plan. This tool has successfully been piloted in many countries around the world and is now being scaled up under the World Bank finance projects. The World Bank has recently approved a new environmental and social framework policy to ensure that people and the environment are protected from potential adverse impacts of our investment projects. This framework sets out the requirements that apply to borrowing countries related to the identification, the assessment, and the management of environmental and social risks and impacts associated with projects financed through our investment project financing mechanism. So, for example, the environmental and social framework includes a specific standard focused on cultural heritage, and it sets out measures designed to protect cultural heritage throughout the project cycle. It aims to protect cultural heritage from adverse impacts of project activities. It addresses cultural heritage as an integral part of sustainable development. It promotes meaningful consultation with the stakeholders regarding cultural heritage, and it promotes the equitable sharing of benefits from the use of these cultural heritage resources. The World Bank works closely with UNWTO, UNESCO, and other international tourism and cultural stakeholders to foster partnerships to ensure sustainable tourism development and also to contribute to the implementation of the SDGs. Supporting the values of the 2015 Siem Reap Declaration and the 2017 Muscat Declaration, they both stress the idea of not just creating tourism and cultural partnership, but also harnessing the potential to positively impact communities and improve the overall visitor experience. The World Bank has been strengthening collaboration with the UNWTO, with UNESCO, and many other international tourism and cultural stakeholders to better address sustainable development challenges and support capacity building. In July 2017, World Bank and UNESCO signed a new Memorandum of Understanding to reinvigorate the two institutions' joint commitment to advance sustainable development by investing in culture, in urban development, and resilience in an integrated manner. The partnership takes on board urban dimensions of sustainable development, provides a framework for joint action to further the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It also expresses the joint commitment to maximizing the benefits of safeguarding cultural heritage and promoting creativity for sustainable development. Through the partnership, UNESCO and the World Bank have been engaging in developing global knowledge products, common policy guidance, country-level operations, and emergency responses to enhance sustainable urban development and address post-disaster and post-conflict situations, building on cultural heritage and creativity as resources and assets for today and the future. One central piece of the institutional partnership is the recently launched joint position paper, Culture in City Reconstruction and Recovery, which integrates both people-centered and place-based approaches and offers a framework and operational guidance for policymakers and practitioners for the planning, financing, and implementation of post-crisis interventions for city reconstruction and recovery. Following the joint position paper, the upcoming centerpiece of the collaboration between the World Bank and UNESCO will be the development of common policy guidance on cultural and creative industries. It will help mainstream the role of intangible cultural and creative industries to fight poverty and boost shared prosperity. Also, the successful and ongoing collaboration between the World Bank and UNWTO will be further expanded and strengthened through the signing of our new MOU. It will continue to contribute to the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We hope to strengthen the role of tourism as a tool for development, including its potential to fight poverty, to spur economic growth, to improve intercultural understanding and peace, to fight climate change, and protect the environment. The two organizations also look forward to collaborating in tourism development and trade strategies and supporting national governments in their efforts to promote sustainable and responsible tourism that contributes to an inclusive society, while also advocating and facilitating funding and investments for a responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism sector. We also want to create spaces for exchanging ideas, information, and good practices among development and tourism communities. We look forward to working with all of you and to strengthen our partnership among UNWTO, UNESCO, and the World Bank as thought leaders and implementers in global policy development and support to countries around the world. The strengthened and continuous partnership will help promote the cultural, social, and natural heritage in the pursuit of sustainable development in the world and contribute to building a more inclusive, resilient, competitive, and sustainable future, and also ensure that those benefits are shared by all communities and by excluded members of society. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you today, and we look forward to working with all of you. Many thanks.